Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About It. Today, we're tackling The Chamber of Secrets, which is the second book slash movie in the Harry Potter series and one of my personal favorites. This episode, and probably moving forward, we're going to be trying something a little different. Rather than running through the whole plot of the movie like we did with Philosopher's Stone, we'll just focus on the things that really stood out to me. This could be scenes or characters or the many, many never-ending questions that I have regarding the plot. So, with that said, let's get into it. Dun 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 dun. First, I would just like to say that I was really excited to do this movie. It's a massive step up from the first one, in my opinion, because it's like they took everything that we love from Philosopher's Stone and brought it on a whole other level. The mystery is way more interesting, the stakes are higher, the danger is greater, the monsters are bigger, and Dobby. Just Dobby. Incidentally, the thing that kicks off this movie is Dobby. He shows up in Harry's room, which, if you want to be picky, should have alerted the ministry that magic was done in Privet Drive, because he must have apparated. An apparition is magic. But let's not be picky. He shows up and instantly starts causing trouble. Now, since we talked about the goblins in the last movie, let's talk about Dobby here. Actually, let's compare CGI Dobby to the CGI goblins. In terms of design, they are very similar. But Dobby has more of a fleshy look, and his large eyes do help to bring a bit more life to him. Dobby also has to interact with the other characters, Harry, and with objects around him, like the bed and the lamp, which is much harder to do than just having a goblin sitting at a desk or something. So I would say that the effects are better in this movie. I do have to say, though, that while Dobby is doing a great job in this scene, Daniel Radcliffe is struggling. Now, okay, he was only 12 when they were filming this movie, so I'm not saying that he should be giving an award-winning performance or anything like that. And we already discussed how hard the child actors were finding acting with non-existent ghosts in the last movie. So I can imagine that Daniel Radcliffe faced the same issue here with Dobby. That said, Daniel Radcliffe is struggling in a very cringy way. I just had to point it out because his acting actually took me out of the movie. I was paying more attention to his weird mouth movements and exaggerated blinking than the movie. Anyway, back to Dobby. Let's talk about his magic. Well, house elf magic in general. Are there limits to what a house elf can do? Are they bound by any laws like Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration? Because it doesn't seem like it. Dobby is able to intercept all of Harry's letters from his friends every single time, all the way from Malfoy Manor. But that's crazy. Because how? 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 Is he plucking them from the owls as they fly? Is he attacking the owls? How does he know when an owl is delivering to Harry, much less where to find it? If he's not getting them from the owls, then is he getting them from Privet Drive as soon as they're delivered? This seems more likely. But again, how does he know when a letter has been delivered to Harry? And on top of that, is he doing this from Malfoy Manor, or is he coming to Privet Drive every single time? And all of that aside, how does he know where Harry lives? I just need an article released on the Wizarding World platform explaining house elf magic. For the sake of people who call out this scene as a plot hole or talk about why the ministry couldn't tell it wasn't Harry that did the hover charm, I'm just going to quickly explain how the trace thing works. So, the ministry isn't able to detect when a spell is cast by an underage wizard, just when magic occurs around them. So, if a child living in a wizarding family, like Ron, does magic, then they wouldn't be able to know if it was Ron or if it was his parents. The issue for Harry comes in that the ministry knows he's the only wizard in the area. So when magic occurs on that street or in the neighborhood, they automatically assume it's him. Now, I personally have a few issues with the no magic outside Hogwarts rule because it seems to be the ministry's way of making their lives easier rather than born out of any real necessity. How are kids supposed to spend the whole summer not practicing the spells they learn, especially if they come from an all wizarding family where adult wizards are present to supervise? If it's about breaking the statute of secrecy, they can detect where the spell was cast and if muggles were present, in which case they will know if an underage wizard deserves a warning letter or expulsion. And then, in the case of muggleborns, their parents already know about magic, seeing as Hermione's parents, for example, go into Diagon Alley and Gringotts. So, doing magic in front of them would not be exposing magic to anyone who doesn't already know about its existence. I've always wondered why the Weasley's house looks like this. Like, it's supposed to look odd, I get that, but like, in universe, in the story, why does it look like this? Because if you can magic your house, like make extensions and stuff because you have 10 million children, is it just like your skill level? Like, if you, like, the better you are at that type of magic, the nicer you can make your house look? Because I don't understand why it looks like it's about to fall apart or like why it's leaning to one side. Like, why can't it just have an extension at the top and it just looks like a tower? It's a recurring thing with the Weasleys. Like, they're really trying to hammer home that they're poor. So their house is leaning, looking like a poorly stacked tower, and they wear hand-me-downs that are worn out and faded and so on. But let's think about it. Let's really think about the poor Weasleys, okay? Mrs. Weasley is a stay-at-home mom, meaning they're a single income home. With 7 children, this is not good for them. Add on the fact that Mr. Weasley is in a rubbish department at the ministry and their state makes sense. They aren't rich, I get that. But why are they destitute? Mrs. Weasley literally has to clean out their vault completely in order to afford this year's school supplies. And when I say clean out, it's not like she leaves with bags of money. She takes out a few silver sickles and 1 galleon. 1! Why? When Dobby is freed and goes to work at Hogwarts, Dumbledore pays him 1 galleon a week. Surely the ministry is paying Mr. Weasley more than that. So where is the money going? It can't be food. They have chickens at the Burrow, so there's free eggs. Anything else they can literally just buy one of, like 1 sausage, 1 potato, etc., and multiply it. Remember the Gamslow we were talking about? So it's not like they have to do grocery shopping for a family of 7. Clothes? I'm pretty sure all you have to do is buy fabric or string or something, and there are spells to make clothes. Okay, but let's say the fabric and string is very expensive. Or maybe Mrs. Weasley just isn't that good at that kind of magic, so they buy clothes. They don't buy them every month. Plus, everyone is always wearing hand-me-downs, so we know they don't spend a lot on that. They do school shopping once a year, which I'm sure must be their greatest expense. But again, Mr. Weasley is paid every month at least 5 times what Dobby is paid, surely. So that's 5 galleons a week, 20 galleons a month. That's still not rich, but it's not the squalor they're currently in. 1 galleon in the vault. Now, someone has some explaining to do. Possible gambling addictions aside, there's a clock in the Weasley's house that I want to talk about. Rather than a clock that tells the time, this one has locations that the members of the family are likely to be in. It says Quidditch, lost, prison, dentist, home, school. Like, why does she have prison on that clock? None of her children have ever been to prison, nor have they been the kind of kids that you would think could go to prison. And let's remember that this prison is Azkaban. So, who she's assuming what? Like, Arthur is the one who's going to go to prison? I don't know. I just find that so funny. Prison. Quidditch. And then the other one is Quidditch. What does that mean, Quidditch? Like, they're flying. They're on a broom? Or what does it mean? Like, if they're in school, but on the Quidditch page, does it say school or Quidditch? Is there like a Quidditch stadium that we don't know about that sometimes they go to? Because that's a random one to put there. No, no. No, 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 no. Ginny comes in, Mommy, have you seen my jumper? And Molly is like, yes, dear, it was on the cat. What? 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 Someone explain to me, please, what? So many questions. Number one, which cat? Which bloody cat are they talking about? I've never seen a cat at the Weasleys. The only cat that we get introduced to is Crookshanks, and that's Hermione's cat, and he doesn't come until the next movie. So, which cat? Is it a figurine? Is it like a statue of a cat that they have somewhere in the house? Which leads to more questions. Why was the jumper on a cat? And Mrs. Weasley saw it and was like, I'm just going to leave that there. Like, okay, let's talk about this flu powder for a second, because not just the flu powder, but this whole scene. Flu powder seems to me a very brilliant way to travel. It's very fast, you don't have to apparate, if you have kids and stuff, So it's a very ingenious thing to come up with. Okay. But number one, do you have to go alone? Like, are you only restricted by the size of your fireplace or the amount of flu powder that you have? Because if you have a kid who is like 4 years old, surely you're not going to put a 4-year-old alone in the fireplace in this hope that they end up in the right place, And so a 4-year-old, 5, surely they're not doing this alone, which means they must be going with their parents, right? So again, is it the size of the fireplace? Like if you have a big fireplace, then you can go multiple people at a time. Is it that you need more flu powder? Like you have to use a lot because you're transporting 2 people, or what? Because if it's possible to go more than one at a time, I really, really feel like somebody should have gone with Harry. Because if nothing else, he's 12 years old and he's never done this before. This is his first time. So it just seems very reckless to just assume or hope that he's going to get it right. And, he ended up in a pretty dangerous street, which could have really, really, really gone badly. So, and they never would have found him because there's no way to know where he went. There's just no way. You can't follow him there, unless you now try and say diagonally as well and hope you get there. Like, it's just crazy. The system is crazy. But maybe this is one of those things that like wizard kids grow up doing. So like by the time you're 7, you can probably do this on your own. So 12 is like old now. It's like driving age. Which is fitting because they drive a car. Let's talk about Nocturnally. Because, excuse me. Somebody explain to me. They have an entire street dedicated to the dark arts. Just the dark arts. It's not a street for like a rundown street. It has cheaper rent than Diagon Alley. And so like it's just kind of like sketchy. And then a couple of dark arts shops. The whole entire street is just full of dark arts shops. And like, what? How does this make, like, okay, the Ministry of Magic, okay, is constantly waging war against dark wizards, right? It's only been 12 years since the greatest dark wizard of all time, like, rose to power, died. So surely, people having been tortured and killed and this huge dark period when Voldemort was in power, surely, once he's gone, the first thing they'd be trying to do is get rid of as many dark artifacts as possible. Right? And then we learn in the book that Lucius Malfoy is getting rid of all of his dark artifacts because the Ministry is conducting raids, which suggests that, as I'm saying, they're trying to catch dark wizards who have these dark artifacts or are performing dark magic. So, explain to me how that Nocturnally is allowed to exist. How do, Ministry? That should be like the first place you go and raid. That's where Lucius Malfoy is selling all of his dark stuff. How can you allow a shop to have stock these items? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And point number 2. Hagrid is down there and he sees Harry, thank God. So what do we think these people were going to do to Harry? What were they going to do to him? Because they were all just like coming up to him. You know what I mean? They were really looking sketchy. So like, what were they going to do? They were going to kidnap him and do what to him? With him? Induct him into the dark arts and like torture him until he becomes evil? Questions. Gilderoy Lockhart. Arguably one of the best characters in these movies. He's one of my favorite. Honestly, top 5 characters in the entire series. I love this guy so much. And I don't know who this actor is. I'm going to look it up. But I love the way he portrayed Gilderoy. Like, he got it down pat. He did a great job. I love it. I love Gilderoy so much. He's just living in his own world. Like, reality is nothing to him. It doesn't exist. He's just living in his own world where he's the star of the show, and I love it so much. If there was any movie I wish they would extend, like release an extended 3-hour version, it's this one, just so we can get the scenes with Harry and Lockhart where he's just so condescending and ridiculous. It's just all the time, Harry. Gilderoy Lockhart, 10 out of 10 character. Okay, this scene where he just rips a page out of a book, I find it's always been so random, because like, what, he's just destroying property for no reason. Like, that is such a random thing to do. And then I saw a theory on why he does this, and it actually makes a lot of sense. So basically the theory is that he tore the page on the basilisk, and that's the page that Hermione finds later on in the library, because like, I'll link the theory in the description so you guys can go check it out in full. But basically, it's like Hermione would never destroy a book. Like, she would never rip a page out of a book. She would have just checked the whole book out of the library. So when she finds this page, it's not her who ripped it. It's actually the page Malfoy ripped in this scene in the beginning of the movie at Flourish and Blotts. So yeah, I think the theory made a lot of sense to me. And it actually was like that's so crazy, because of course, like, if Dobby knows what's going on, then like Malfoy also kind of knows. Like, he kind of understands. He doesn't know fully everything that's happening, but like, he knows, you know. So I'm gonna put the description, but like, I'll put the link to that theory in the description. But yeah, these kids really are just kids. Like, it seems like these remind you that these really are just children, because how do you just decide, like, we can't get through, so they can't come out? And then you don't even wait. They don't even wait at all. They just, it's 11 o'clock. We missed it. Oh no, they can't get back. Let's go wait by the car. And they run up, put their stuff in the car and drive off. Like, they don't wait 5 minutes. Surely, just to check if their parents can come out. They just are like, nah, this is the only choice we have. These boys are crazy. They're really, you know what they are? They're 12 years old, and I love it. The teachers in this school are so crazy. Like, they just Neville faints, and she's like, yes, well, just leave him there. Like, she's not even gonna check if he's passed out because of the mandrake cry. Like, she's just like, I'll deal with him later. Maybe he'll wake up. Maybe not. Whatever. Moving on. Poor Neville, man. Poor Neville. What happens if you don't open a howler? Because I can't imagine what it would have to be so bad that you'd rather open it and face the embarrassment. Because, like, what? Is it like, if you don't open it, it explodes? Like, what? I was thinking about this. And I'm like, maybe it explodes open, right? Because you haven't opened it. So maybe it just, like, because they describe it as like it starts hissing and like smoke starts coming out. So I'm assuming an explosion is imminent. So if you don't open it, the howler explodes, and maybe like all the individual pieces of the howler start to scream out the message. So it's even worse because now it's multiple of them. And then of course they're on fire, so it's like a horrible, horrible scene. Maybe that's what it is. That's all I could come up with. Because I don't know. I was thinking about it and I don't know what could be so bad that it's like, you better open it, man. Like, it'll be bad, but it'll be over. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm just going to be honest. If I was a Gryffindor, a Slytherin, a Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, it doesn't matter which house I'm in. If I was present when Ron tries to hex Malfoy and then it backfires, I would be on the floor. I would be laughing hysterically. Like, that is so funny. It's so embarrassing because he's trying to intimidate him. He's trying to be, oh, you're going to pay for that one. And then he tries to jinx him. So just the backfiring of it alone is already funny. Like, if nothing happened, I would already still be laughing. But now, not only does it not work, it backfires. And he's the one who starts stirring up. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but I would be dead. Like, I would really be, I would be gone. If I was Harry, even if I was Hermione, like, I would be crying. This is so embarrassing. I just can't. And if I was Malfoy, I would never let this go. Never, ever. I would ask Colin for a picture and I would make sure they're all over the school. Like, so everybody, like I know the Slytherins are supposed to be evil and we're not supposed to like them and like they are douchebags, but like this scene alone, you just have to give it to them. Like, this is funny. This is funny. Why did they take him to Hagrid's? Hagrid is not a doctor. What's Hagrid gonna do? Why don't they take him to Madame Pomfrey? This doesn't make sense. Your friend is throwing up slugs, you take him to Hagrid. Of course, all Hagrid says is all he can do is get them out. He doesn't know. Hagrid was expelled in the 3rd year. Why would they not take him to the hospital wing? Just people, they did not have Ron's best interest at heart, honestly. So here's another question. This whole mudblood, pureblood, half-blood business. All right, pure blood. Like, okay, we know they're the sacred families. Those are the sacred, like, those are the ones who've never had half blood. Like, they've never integrated with muggles. They, like, from the beginning of their bloodline, have been pure blood all the way through. The Weasleys, the Malfoys, so on and so forth. I don't remember if they're 12 or 17 or something like that. Sacred bloodlines, okay? Then you have half-bloods, who is like a wizard and a muggle, right? Okay. And then you have mudbloods who are just muggle parents. But what happens if, see now, Hermione is a mudblood. Let me stop calling her that. Oh my God. Hermione is muggle born. She marries Ron. Ron is pure blood. So their kids are half blood. But what about her grandkids? Okay. What happens to them? Like, are they also half-blood? Like, if at any point your family has a muggle in the bloodline, you're forever half-blood? Or is it like after certain generations, you're pure blood again? Because you have both muggle like, okay, like Harry is half-blood because his mom was muggle-born. But he marries Ginny, and Ginny is pure blood. So their kids, are they also half-blood? Because Harry had 2 wizard parents. Ginny has 2 wizard parents. So their kids have wizard parents and wizard grandparents. So are they also half-blood? Are they pure blood? Question of the day. See, this detention makes sense. These are detentions that make sense. You're serving detention by spending time with a teacher, it's fan mail, but it could be anything, marking you're just sitting there while the teacher marks people's papers, that makes sense. Ron gets detention having to clean the trophy room, all the trophies in the trophy room. That's detention. In the first movie, having someone serve detention at midnight in the Forbidden Forest looking for something that's killing unicorns. What? Like, that made no sense at all. At all. I'm glad they rectified it. Because that's crazy. That's not detention. That's dangerous. Can you imagine serving detention for 4 hours? 4 hours! Oh my, that's like Saturday detention, which is fine, except that he's serving detention at night, which means, again, he's going to bed at midnight. What do these people have against children sleeping in this castle? You see, okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. If Harry was black, there is no way the boy would have followed this voice. You're hearing a voice in the wall talking about, I'm going to kill, I'm going to kill, I'm going to kill. And you follow it. What the hell does he think he's going to do if he follows it and finds someone standing in a hallway ready to kill someone? What is he going to do? What is Harry going to do? Nothing. Except get himself killed as well. So, I'm not going to say it the way we all know I could say it, about certain people and the behavior in horror movies. I'm not going to say it that way. I'm just going to say, if Harry was black, this isn't a story. I really love the way all the teachers react to Lockhart. They're just like even Dumbledore. Even Dumbledore is just like, okay. If you say so. Once again, I am frustrated because they took away a line from Ron and gave it to Hermione, and it doesn't make any sense why they did this. It doesn't make any sense why they did this. They included the lines. Why not just give it to the right person to say? Jesus. Literally, how does Hermione know that in the wizarding world, hearing voices isn't a good sign? How does she know that? Hermione is Muggle-born. She lives in the Muggle world. She's been in the wizarding world for only 2 years, and not like she interacts with a lot of wizards. She's just at Hogwarts. And then, all the information she gets is from books. Where did she read that hearing voices isn't a good sign? No, that's the kind of thing somebody who grew up in the wizarding world says. Ron is supposed to say that. It's just gonna keep building up. I'm gonna keep getting more and more frustrated with this because as it goes along, it makes less and less sense why they do this. It doesn't make sense. Okay, transfiguration is a mad subject because how can you transfigure a living creature into a non-living object? That is crazy. And when you turn it back, it's alive. Like, okay, first of all, what would be the purpose of this spell? I can't see why they would learn this spell, the practical implementations of the spell. I don't. Anyway, that aside, how can you turn something from living to non-living and back? It boggles my mind. This doesn't. Transfiguration is by far one of the most powerful subjects that they learn in the school because what? Okay, I'm going to say something very controversial. I kind of understand where Salazar Slytherin was coming from. Now, let me start off by saying that he's a bad guy. He's definitely a bad guy because he left a freaking basilisk in the school to kill students. So, no, the guy is a bad guy. I'm not trying to say that he's misunderstood or anything like that. I'm just saying that if I think about the time, when this was, the era with the founders, it was a really long time ago, and the political climate at the time was very tense between Muggles and wizards, and the wizards were being killed off by Muggles, and they were living in fear. And so they went and decided to create this school, which is supposed to be a safe place for their kids. So I understand his hesitancy to allow kids from Muggle families. Like, I understand why he would be like, no, these people can't be trusted. You know, like, you never know what they're going to do. They could go back and tell their parents, oh, I know exactly where they're hiding. Or the parents could come after them. You know, there's so many different things. It's just not safe, especially since because they're dying, you know, like they were being killed. So I understand the hesitancy. However, I'm not trying to say that the guy did the right thing or anything like that. Obviously, in the movies, it's portrayed much more like blood supremacy. But in the books, in the books I understand. In the books, they just say he said they were untrustworthy. And so I can understand why he would think that, given the time period. Wow, 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 wow. So parents can come and watch Quidditch games. Wow, I've never clocked that before. That's so interesting, because like now here's Lucius Malfoy. Why don't I remember him? That's really good, because I was always wondering, like, what if a parent wants to come and see, you know, like you go to school and watch a football game, a soccer game or something, swimming competitions, you know? So like, they actually can come and just watch a game. That's great. That's really cool. And he's here to watch. Well, he's probably here to just like see how his gift helps the Slytherin team. But it's nice to see that parents. It makes me think that he's not the only one, that some of the grown-ups we see in these scenes are actual other people's parents. That's sweet. Unfortunately for Malfoy, it means his dad is present when he is just completely thrown off his broom in the worst way. Once again, where are the professors? Oh my god. I went on and on about this in the last one, so again, I'm not going to say too much. But like, come on. The boy is on the floor. He's already caught the snitch. The game is over. The bludger is still attacking him. And it's Hermione who helps him. She's the one who blows it up. Madam Hooch, where is she? Nowhere to be seen. McGonagall, like anybody? Nobody? Jesus. Here's the thing I've never understood about this voice in the walls. Like, I get that he's the only one who can understand because it's a basilisk. So he is hearing kill in the walls. But if it's loud enough for him to hear, everybody should be hearing like I mean, it's not telepathic. He's not talking to the snakes telepathically. So I've never understood why nobody else can hear something and he's the only one hearing words. Because shouldn't there be a sound? He's hearing something. Everybody else should be hearing something as well. They don't know what they're hearing. He's hearing words. Right? This scene doesn't make a lot of sense from Lockhart's perspective, because if you know the truth, you know you're not actually this great wizard who did all these amazing, incredible things. Why would you put yourself front and center to fail? Like, why would he, from the beginning, he should have been like, I'm here with my assistant Snape. He is going to go around showing you guys how to do things, while I monitor and make sure you're all safe. You know? So he doesn't actually have to do any work. He doesn't put himself in a position to fail at magic as he does, and perhaps cause some people to realize that actually he's not as great as he says. It's not, I mean, he's a smart guy, but he's not that smart. You see, now here, Harry dug himself a hole. He really dug himself a hole. Why? Why are you talking to snakes? Why? Who told you it was your business? Who told you you have to be the one to stop the snake from attacking him? There's a professor right there. Snape said, I'll get rid of it. Why? Why are you putting yourself in situations like this so that people can see that you're a parcel mouth? It looks sketchy. It looks like he was trying to get it to attack him. Even Fred and George are like, this is not good. And by the time Fred and George are looking at you like, ooh, even Snape, with all his hatred, he has no hatred in his eyes. He's just like, shocked. If Harry would just mind his business once, he would save himself a lot of trouble. A lot. Like, I mean, okay, he might not be the hero of these stories, but he would really save himself a lot of trouble. Like, boy, you're suspect number one right now. You should not be followed. Last time you followed this voice, you ended up at a crime scene. You should not be following the voice again. Like, if I was him, I would go back and get McGonagall. Like, you just left the room with McGonagall. Go back. You're not that far. Go back. Be like, Professor, I just saw something. And then come back. Like, I just heard something suspicious. And then come back. You see? Now you're even touching the body. Harry is so stupid. Why would you touch him? Why? I was rereading the book recently, and I had a revelation. This scene where Hagrid comes in and is all aggressive about his defense of Harry. You know, the first time, obviously, up until I was rereading the book, I just assumed, Hagrid loves Harry, and of course he's gonna come and be like, no way, it's not Harry. But then I was like, hold on. It actually could be more than this. It actually could be that Hagrid went through this already. He got expelled for the exact same thing. He was accused of something that he never did, and nobody was there to defend him. Nobody was there to vouch for him. And so he's hearing that this has happened again. Like, I'm sure Ron and Hermione went to tell him. And so he's like, no, I'm not going to let this happen again. Like, I think that no matter who it was, well, barring Slytherins, like, I feel like he still would have gone and been like, it's not them. Because he knows how unfair it was and how much it ruined his life to just have this accusation. And he's like, not on my watch. I'm not going to let this happen again. And I just felt like that's so much sweet. Like, it's still sweet because it's still Hagrid and Harry. And of course he comes barging in like this because it's Harry. Like, he probably would have just talked to Dumbledore about it later if it was a different student. But that's what I was thinking. I was like, actually, it could be a little bit deeper than we realized. It actually could be Hagrid just like feeling his feelings of his 13-year-old self being like, oh my God, it's happening again. Like, can you imagine how he's feeling hearing all these attacks are going on again? Like, can you just imagine what he's going through knowing that this is what he was blamed for last time? It's definitely not him this time. And so he's wondering, like, who are they going to blame next? Or maybe he's even hopeful, like maybe the person's finally going to be caught and he's going to be proclaimed innocent. And then he hears it's Harry and he's like, no. Madame Pomfrey is really she's a goat of these stories. Because if she asked even one question, do you know how many students could be expelled? Because they just take Hermione to, I mean, first of all, in the first book, like I said, Ron goes to the hospital wing with a dragon bite, and she doesn't ask. Well, she asks, but he just says it's a dog bite, and she's like, okay, and lets it go. But if it was like Professor McGonagall was the nurse, like, kids would be getting expelled from Hogwarts. Like, they would just be dropping like flies. Because Polyjuice Potion they're not allowed to brew it. They stole most of the ingredients from Snape's cupboard. Like, they'd be in so much trouble. But she just is like, oh yeah, you turned half into a cat. Yeah, I'll just fix you right up. No problem. It's the definition of like, I don't get paid enough to ask questions. How does Myrtle keep flooding this bathroom? She can't open the taps. She shouldn't even be able to make splashes in the water. She's not a poltergeist like Peeves. She's a ghost, which means she floats. She can't touch and she can't manipulate any actual matter in the physical world. So how does she keep opening the taps and flooding the bathroom? It's crazy that Harry takes this diary. For what does he take it? Why? Somebody throws a book in a bathroom. Why is he so curious about this? Again, as I say, Harry is too nosy for his own good. It's for the good of the world because he ends up saving people with his nosiness. But really, it's just so weird that he has this kind of curiosity. Why? But I decided to give it some thought because I was like, maybe, I'm being so harsh on Harry. Most of the time I'm giving him a lot of crap. So I was like, let me think about this. Let's see what reason he could have. You know what I came up with? The piece of Voldemort's soul inside him recognized the piece of soul in the diary. So it was drawn to it. That's what I came to. That's the conclusion I came to. Doesn't that make more sense than just Harry happening upon a diary and then luckily he picks it up and decides to write in it and gets all the answers he needs? Like, makes more sense that he's a Horcrux and it's a Horcrux. And Voldemort's soul inside him was like, oh, we need to protect it. That's why he was drawn to it. You're welcome for answering that question. I know it was disturbing everyone. It was disturbing me too. So I got you. Hagrid really was a scapegoat because these people were petrified, and then Myrtle was found dead, just dead. There was nothing on her, no scars, no anything. She was just dead. I mean, what kind of spider does that? It's not possible for the monster to be a spider. It would have eaten them. There would have been bites. There would have been some kind of something, And I'm sure they know that spiders cannot petrify people, even these acromantula things. So he was really, really a scapegoat. Like, it didn't connect. The pieces didn't fit at all, but they were like, at least we have an answer. We have something we can say, so we can keep Hogwarts going. We can say we did something, and the attack stopped after that. So they were like, yep, problem solved. Let's move on with life. But literally, if there was even an investigation, like, this would not be possible. It doesn't make sense. Why did Ginny do this? Why? This was such overkill. Like, if she's looking for the diary, I understand. But why did she have to wreck? I mean, she's ripped his pillows open. She's torn the curtains off his bed. She's like, just destroyed everything. Why? She's looking for a book. Look in his desk, look, under his pillow. And I get, like, searching thoroughly. If his bed was unmade and stuff, I get it. But, jeez. If anyone wants to know, the spell that Harry does when Ron is being strangled by a freaking spider. If I was in that situation, I would have passed out. The spell that Harry does is Arania Exame, which is a very specific spell used to expel spiders, like repel spiders specifically. Now, this is what I was wondering. Why did they bring Lockhart with them? They think he's useless, and then he's just admitted to being a fraud. So they now know that he actually didn't do any of the things that he said he did in his book. So why do they bring him here as a hostage? It doesn't make sense. Like, except for the power trip of it all, holding a teacher hostage and everything, and they don't like him. But why? You don't need him. He can't even help you. He's a liability, actually, and it ends up just messing them up even worse. But I don't get why they brought him here. How did Voldemort come to learn about the chamber? Like, is it something that was talked about? Is it in a book? Like, I'm sure it's not in Hogwarts history. Hermione was looking for, everybody was getting the book so they could read about it. But, like, I don't think it was in there. That's why Hermione asks in the books, she asks Professor Binns. In the movies, she asks Professor McGonagall. So where did Tom Riddle hear about the Chamber of Secrets? Is it because it has a deadly stare that its sense of smell is lacking? Can it not smell? Do snakes have a sense of smell? Maybe they don't. Let's check. Not only can they smell, but they have a special supercharged smell sensor called the Jacobson's organ. So our basilisk has no reason for not knowing that Harry was there. Like, sense of sight aside, it should have known. And you can see the snake doing this. They show you the snake doing this, like the tongue flicking thing. So there's no excuse. Harry stabbed this basilisk so hard that it lodged its tooth in his arm so deep that it pulled it out when he removed his hand. Can you imagine? Like, it must have been in his bone. The tooth must have gotten stuck in his bone so that when he pulled out, it came out. That is so deep. Damn. It's important to learn things when you're watching a movie. And what I learn consistently from young adult adventure stories, if you're the villain, don't talk. Talk as little as possible, because that is usually where the kids get their ideas from. There was no reason for Harry to think that stabbing the diary would do anything. But now Tom Riddle is there running his mouth about the damage a silly little book can do. And of course then you start thinking like, oh, what happens if I destroy the book then? This should be your number one on your list if you decide to become a villain. Don't talk. Don't say anything. It's not just about monologuing. It's about taunting the hero. It's about snide comments. Just don't say anything. Just be quiet and your plan will most likely work. He really was about to kill Harry right now. I forgot. He literally was about to say Avada Kedavra. Oh my God. Lucius Malfoy was ready to risk it all. He was ready to go to Azkaban. He was going to kill Harry Potter right outside Dumbledore's door. This man is a madman. A madman. That's why he was always in trouble with Voldemort. That is so tactless. You can't just kill a student in the middle of Hogwarts where you can't even apparate away and leaving Dobby as a witness. Like, come on. That's crazy though. All over a house elf. He was going to kill him. He's been cleared. And that's the best way to finish this story. With Hagrid getting the respect and the love and appreciation that he deserves. 50 years after. He's basically been serving a 50-year sentence. Not in Azkaban, but like community service type stuff. And so him getting free, I love it. Next video, we'll be tackling another one of my favorites. It, like this movie, takes the story even darker with the introduction of the Dementors. It's the last one rated PG. The others are rated PG-13 and above. And we get a new director. So make sure to have your chocolate handy when we come back next time to talk about The Prisoner of Azkaban. Thanks for watching.